The World War II home defense hack modern intruders still fear. Some lessons don't age. They don't fade. They don't lose power. And when you hear this one from World War II, you'll understand exactly why old-school survivalists still smirk when expensive alarms glitch or smart devices freeze. Because, long before technology stepped in, ordinary families discovered something so simple, so clever, and so psychologically devastating that modern intruders still fall apart when they run into it. And today, you're about to learn the real story behind that tactic. A method born in blackouts, perfected in chaos, and sharpened by people who had everything to lose and no backup coming. This isn't nostalgia. This isn't a dusty museum piece. This is timeless human psychology at work. Let's dive straight into the kind of survival intelligence that kept homes safe during the hardest nights of World War II. How darkness became a weapon in itself. When the air raid sirens of World War II screamed through the streets, families didn't just run for shelter. They left behind homes in silence and pitch-black darkness. Entire cities disappeared under mandated blackouts. No lights, no signals. No hints that anyone was inside. That darkness became both a shield and a threat. Because with police overwhelmed and chaos everywhere, the greatest danger wasn't always the bombs in the sky. It was the opportunists on the ground. Looters moved like shadows. They banked on fear, they banked on confusion, and they banked on homes that looked empty. But civilians learned something fast. Darkness could hide a home, or it could confuse someone creeping toward it. When an intruder can't see what they're stepping into, every sound, every flicker, every unexpected moment becomes a warning shot to the brain. Families realized that unpredictability was a form of defense. A brief flash behind a curtain, a lamp turned on for 2 seconds, then gone. Even a tiny glow in a window sent one message straight into the mind of anyone watching from the street. Someone's awake. Modern motion-activated lights didn't invent this idea. They just automated what World War II survivors, perfected by instinct. When sound became the most effective alarm of the era, everything changed. Silence in blackout cities was, honestly, extreme. No cars, no street lamps, no electricity humming anywhere. Sound carried farther, sharper, heavier. And in that silence, families discovered a truth that security experts still talk about today. The strongest alarm isn't the loudest one. It's the one that makes an intruder panic about being exposed. People didn't build dangerous contraptions or traps. Instead, they placed ordinary household objects where they naturally amplified sound if disturbed. The moment anything shifted, the noise echoed through hallways. That sound did 2 things instantly. It warned the homeowners, and it shattered the intruder's confidence. Because once someone thinks they've made a mistake, their brain shifts from "I'm in control" to "someone knows I'm here." And, that switch is everything. Even today, passive noise-based alerts remain one of the simplest forms of early detection. They don't rely on electricity. They don't require apps. They just rely on basic human psychology. No one wants to get caught. Civilians in World War II understood that long before the term deterrence ever made it into a security manual. The genius of the unexpected obstacle. Here's where the brilliance of ordinary people truly shines. Families realize that intruders, just like soldiers, rely on speed and silence. They move quickly. They avoid noise. They hate surprises. So, civilians created obstacles that interrupted those instincts. Nothing dangerous, nothing violent. Just enough to disrupt balance, create hesitation, or generate an unexpected sound. Because, once rhythm breaks, fear fills the gap. In the mind of an intruder, one small stumble can feel like the beginning of a bigger problem. They start asking the questions that every defender wants them to ask. What else is in here? Who's awake? Is this worth the risk? Most of the time, that swirling doubt was enough to make them retreat without ever reaching the back of the home. When you strip away all the myths and dramatizations, what civilians built wasn't a trap. It was a psychology-based disruptor, a confidence breaker, a reminder to the intruder that they were stepping into unknown territory. And unknowns, in war or at home, are terrifying. Layered defense. Before it had a name, long before the phrase layered passive defense appeared in modern security training, World War II families were living it daily. They couldn't rely on a single measure. One system failing couldn't mean losing everything, so they stacked multiple small obstacles that worked together. A little noise here, a flicker of light there, a point of hesitation at the entrance. Nothing extreme, nothing harmful, but each layer chipped away at an intruder's confidence until the smartest decision was simply to leave. And that is the entire genius of it. The goal wasn't confrontation. It wasn't aggression. It was about creating an environment that intruders didn't want to gamble with. And when you step back and look at those wartime defenses as a whole, you notice something powerful. They weren't building fortresses. They were building psychological minefields. Modern security cameras, smart lights, and motion sensors all trace their origins back to this same principle. The technology is new. The instinct behind it is ancient. Why this World War II tactic still works today. Intruders today aren't much different from intruders 80 years ago. Sure, tools have changed, but, human instincts haven't. People still fear the same things. Fear of being seen, fear of making noise, fear of the unknown, and of course, fear of losing control. And that's why the World War II approach still works. It's not about materials. It's about the mind. The power comes from unpredictability, from subtle signals that say, this is not an easy target. Civilians in the 1940s didn't have modern gear, yet they built systems that outsmarted their threats because they focused on behavior, not technology. That's the lesson worth remembering today. If you want more history-based survival wisdom, psychological insights, and forgotten tactics that still hold power in the modern world, make sure you subscribe to Wisdom from the Frontlines. Share this video with someone who loves real preparedness, and keep learning the strategies that stand the test of time.